Topping today's news, the Minister of Energy defends the government's energy reform plans. The Foreign Affairs Ministry releasing a travel advisory for Israel. Father's Day marred by 2 murders just hours apart. And Bahamians off to China for an agriculture summit as we seek to produce more of our own foods. This is your JCN Evening News. I'm Torino Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. The government is proud of the work it is doing when it comes to energy reform. Today, as debate continued on the 2025-2026 budget, the Minister for Energy and Transport, Jobeth Kobe Davis, again rejecting claims by the official opposition that Bahamas Power and Light has been privatized, reminding them that while Bahamas Grid Company will be responsible for transmission and distribution, BPL will continue to be responsible for customer service, billing, and some of the energy generation. She then shared details on the upgrades to transmission and distribution that has been carried out on New Providence since signing that deal with Bahamas Grid.
By way of update, I'm pleased to share that Bahamas Grid has made significant progress upgrading and modernizing New Providence Grid. They've installed or replaced over 237 overhead distribution poles, reconducted more than 107,000 feet of distribution wire, load balanced 58 circuit miles, serving over 16,000 customers, and enhanced system reliability by installing 47 interrupters. They've also performed over 2,400 hours of emergency work, expanded underground services, and strengthened the transmission system with 51 new steel poles, 400 feet of fiber, and 2,400 feet of new conductor.
According to Kobe Davis, the first set of transmission poles will begin to be placed into the ground this week, with work expected to be completed in the next 12 months. Kobe Davis then defended the government's decision to use power purchase agreements as opposed to the expensive exercise of renting generators each year.
Let me just explain again for those who pretend they don't understand. A power purchase agreement. There's no privatization, nowhere. A power purchase agreement, or a PPA, is a contract where we agree to purchase power from a seller at a fixed price. For us, it is a win-win.
Kobe Davis explained that the power purchase agreements are more affordable, reliable, cleaner, and diversifies the nation's energy distribution system, inclusive of LNG, solar power, and backup battery energy storage systems. Meanwhile, the official opposition has accused the government of using those power purchase agreements to enrich their supporters. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs advising Bahamians not to travel to Israel under any circumstances, including the West Bank, Gaza, the Gaza Strip, and Jerusalem in particular. There are ongoing hostilities between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran. The situation has escalated with an increase in military drones, missiles, and other projectiles target strikes between the two nations, with further attacks likely to occur. A nationwide state of emergency is currently in effect in Israel. The international airport there is also closed, and all flights to and from Israel are canceled until further notice. Bahamians who are presently in Israel or any of the surrounding states are advised to follow the instructions of local authorities. A shocking and tragic Father's Day yesterday as 3 men died, one of them a well-loved and respected police reservist inspector. Lennox Williams, an employee at the Cabinet Office, had just come from Sunday morning Mass. He was at a service at St. Mary the Virgin, and less than an hour after that church service ended, he was dead. It happened outside RBC Palmdale, where he was reportedly set to make a cash deposit through the ATM. Police Commissioner Shanta Knowles was on the scene and made the following statement.
Shortly before 12 noon today, our police control room received reports that a male was shot in the Palmdale shopping plaza here. Our officers responded, and upon their arrival at this location, they discovered that 2 men had been shot. Our brief investigation so far tells us that a man who we now identify as a police reserve inspector was at the deposit drop box making a deposit when he was accosted by a group of men. There was an exchange of gunfire resulting in 2 of them, the police inspector and another man, being shot. They were later confirmed deceased here on the scene. We know that the other men who accompanied the man who had been shot, got into a small white vehicle and left this area. A team of officers are combing the streets of New Providence for any information that can lead to the arrest of those other men.
JCN has learned from reliable sources that the police are questioning at least 4 people in relation to Mr. Williams' death. Both Prime Minister Philip Davis and Leader of the Opposition Michael Pintard extending their condolences to the Williams family. Meanwhile, just hours after that horrific scene at the Palmdale area, there was another shooting, this time a drive-by that resulted in 3 men being shot, one of them, presumably the intended target, dying at the scene. The Commissioner of Police was also at this crime scene.
Unfortunately, we find ourselves again on a crime scene here on this Father's Day. Not so happy Father's Day, I must say. Just before 5 p.m., we know that a white vehicle, a Jeep, pulled through or drive through this street, Cordo Avenue. A group of persons who were congregated in the property just nearby. 2 men emerged from that vehicle, both armed with firearms, and opened fire on the persons who were gathered. 3 persons were shot. 1 succumbed to his injuries. The other 2 men were taken to hospital. These men got back into that white vehicle and left this area. We have now located that vehicle. I can confirm that we have located that vehicle, and a team of officers are en route to that location to continue investigation into this matter.
Police confirmed that the deceased victim in this instance was known to police and was wearing an ankle monitoring device, suggesting that he was on bail for a previous crime. Police also confirmed that the vehicle used in that drive-by shooting was reported stolen on June 5th. That second Father's Day shooting came after a 19-year-old male was shot to death around 10:45 p.m. in the Winders Terrace community off East Street South. That was on Friday night. He was ambushed by 2 men that exited a light-colored Japanese vehicle. These incidents now push the number of murders on record for this year to 40. Police asking for the public's help in tracking down 24-year-old Jermaine Grant of North Eleuthera for questioning in connection to a recent murder. It is unclear exactly which murder the police want to question him about, as there have been several deadly incidents in the past week. Mr. Grant, his height is unknown, but he is said to be of dark brown complexion and of slim build. Police say he is considered to be armed and dangerous. If you know of his whereabouts, you are asked to contact the police. You can do so anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers in Miami at 328-TIPS, 328-8477. And finally, in this segment, the Zones of Peace in Global Waters conference, co-hosted by the Bahamas, began this morning in New York City. Minister for Foreign Affairs Fred Mitchell, who was unable to attend the meeting in person, addressed the body in a virtual presentation where he pledged support by the government of the Bahamas before reminding members of the reason for the gathering, which is to promote peace in global waters for the well-being of human beings.
This initiative, conceived by the Bahamas and shaped with partners across regions and institutions, was born out of necessity. The work of governments and the United Nations since the pandemic has been to confront a new, unsettling truth that the great disruptions of our time, climate change, the potency of emerging technologies, and global supply chain shocks are not impacting isolated communities, but populations everywhere all at once. This is why we are here today. The idea of zones of peace emerged in the 1970s with declarations aiming to reduce military tensions and eliminate conflict-generating conditions. We are committed to a bold, imaginative, and multilateral design of solutions for the gaps in international finance, trade, and maritime ecosystem architectures of governance related to global waters.
Mr. Mitchell suggested members of the conference must go back to the drawing board and adjust its approach to reflect the ever-changing global climate in relation to global water management.
Our institutions must now be recalibrated to reflect this new landscape of global interdependence and risk. A 21st century governance of water, perhaps the most transboundary element of all, can lead the way. The existing frameworks are strong, but they're not enough. We have the Law of the Sea, we have the BBNJ Agreement, and regional water commissions. But these were not designed with peace at their core. They manage resources, but they do not resolve rivalry. They conserve ecosystems, but they do not preempt conflict. What we need now is a new layer, a peace architecture that treats every river, lake, and maritime corridor as a potential catalyst for collaboration. The science is clear. Climate shocks, resource extraction, undersea infrastructure, all are intensifying tensions, and nowhere are the risks more acute than in fragile and developing states, especially small island developing states like our country, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Mr. Mitchell said the conference represents an opportunity for members to design a transformed approach to convert risk to resilience, especially when it comes to fisheries, agriculture, tourism, seabed minerals, security concerns, shipping lanes, and cultural identity, among other factors. This idea, he says, must then be advanced in the United Nations system for global results. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back following these commercials.